Paris Lees. As a journalist and campaigner, I'm known for my strong views, particularly when it comes to LGBT equality. But I've recently been looking into another area that I'm interested in: fashion. I've been learning about the impact the fashion industry is having on the planet and the people who work in it. And it seems that some of the clothes we wear have a dirty secret. My appearance has always been really important to me, and I've often used beautiful clothes as a way to feel confident and good about myself. And I reckon fashion's a really important part of our identity, but I've realised that I have no idea where my clothes come from or who even made them. In this series, I'm going to investigate the truth behind our clothes. From where the materials come from and their impact on the planet, to who makes them and where they all end up.
The biggest issue in the fashion industry is that it's the second biggest polluter in the world, and it's one of the main sources of exploitation of workers.
Hi, Lily. And with the help of some of the key players in the fashion world, I'm discovering some innovative solutions.
By using and buying Wild Rubber products, you're essentially paying local people to make a living and therefore protect the rainforest.
But if I'm going to make an impact, I'm going to need to make a movement, and I'm going to need some help. So I'm bringing some of the most influential vloggers to join me on my campaign to get the message out.
Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it.
So we do have incredible power as consumers if we choose to use it.
This is Pure Couture. High street stores and fashion websites make it so easy to buy clothes these days. So can we really be blamed for never questioning why our clothes are so cheap?
Hi everyone! Today I'm doing a huge clothing haul and I can't wait to show you what I got.
I've also noticed this trend for shopping haul videos, which is where vloggers go out on a massive shopping spree and then talk about all the fun things that they've bought. And I'm pretty sure that one or two of their fans like to go out and do the same. It's become clear that we are addicted to just buying more and more clothes in this country. We Brits spend £30 billion on unused clothing every year.
I probably go shopping about twice a week.
Yeah, quite a lot of my clothes have only been used once.
In this episode, I'm getting to grips with the huge issue of waste. What we're buying, where it comes from, and where it ends up once we're bored with it. Dr. Kate Goldsworthy is a textiles expert.
The way we're designing and buying and using clothes is getting faster and faster. And now it's getting to the point where fashion companies are producing new collections pretty much on a weekly basis. I think, fashion is becoming so fast, it's almost disposable at times.
Now, I like clothes shopping as much as the next girl, but the problem is, the more we buy, the more we throw away. 1.5 million tonnes of textiles go into landfill in Britain every year. That's 10,000 garments, or the equivalent of 40 of these compressed bales thrown into landfill in Britain every 5 minutes. Nearly 40% of all clothing is thrown directly in the rubbish and goes to landfill. That's £10 million worth every year. But what about the stuff we don't throw straight in the bin? Now, a lot of us send out used clothes to charity shops and textile bins, but have you ever wondered where they end up? This is LMB Textile Recycling Centre in East London. They collect clothes from bins to recycle, or they send them to Africa to be sold. Ross Barry owns the facility.
You wouldn't believe what comes along this belt. Well, you can guess. We've had everything. We've had murder weapons, we've had smutty photos.
Okay.
It comes in everything.
You get bags as well.
Get everything.
I need a bag. Ross is on the receiving end of our obsession with so-called fast fashion. I can't believe just how many clothes are here. How much stuff would you handle a day?
We'll probably get about 30 tonnes a day, so to give you an idea, that's sort of 1 million garments a week. I think nowadays you can see that fashion changes so quickly. Something could be on the cover of a magazine, it's in the shops the following week, and it's in here 2 weeks later.
I'm shocked by what people are throwing away.
It's cute. I think it's Ellen McCartney.
Brand new clothes.
I'd totally wear that.
And expensive branded items.
See, that's quite cute.
At least 90% of textiles received here are reused or recycled.
So I always say to people, put it into a textile bank or a charity shop, then it'll come to an expert like us and we'll try and find a use. So some stuff is really sort of badly damaged, smelly, stained. Yeah, I'm afraid it goes to landfill.
But the consequences of these impulse buys not only clog up our wardrobes and our rubbish tips, they're a huge waste of resources. It's not just how much we're throwing away, it's what we're chucking out that's a problem. So, Kate, could you tell me a bit about where our clothes come from?
Well, I suppose there are two main materials, really. They either come from natural materials, so cotton, and then the other material would be polyester or oil-based materials. And that comes from oil, petroleum.
So the same stuff that you put in your car?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So I probably have items hanging in my wardrobe that were made from oil.
More than certainly.
So what is polyester actually made of?
Polyester is a plastic that's around us in many, many forms. I mean, something like this plastic bottle is exactly the same polyester that many of our clothes are made of.
But the issues don't stop once we've made the clothes. They can also cause problems when we wash them. Microfibers from polyester fabrics get washed out of our clothes and into our rivers and oceans. Our approach to waste has to change. I was recently disgusted to learn that plastic has been found in a third of fish caught in Britain.
So I guess the solution is we have to completely rethink the way we work with these materials. You know, we have to stop seeing it as a linear journey where we use things and throw them away, and we have to find a way of closing that loop.
But there is hope. The fashion industry is joining forces with designers and scientists to clean up their act using the latest technology. Fashion is becoming part of the solution, not just the problem. And lately, even the red carpet is taking on a greener tinge. From musicians to movie stars, and even luxury brands. Pharrell Williams recently became co-owner of denim label G-Star Raw, who are using discarded plastic bottles and turning them into a substance called bionic yarn. So your new threads could be made of old bottles.
I've been given really great opportunities by really great people, and I wanted to learn more about what's out there creatively and how I could further find new ways to express myself.
Supermodel turned environmentalist Lily Cole is another key figure in the sustainable fashion movement. She even wore a dress made of recycled bottles to the Oscars. I wanted to find out more, so I went to meet her to see it for myself.
Hi,
Lily.
How you doing?
Oh, wow.
So this is one of the most interesting fabrics that they could find to make. They were tasked with making a kind of ethical, sustainable dress, and they looked at all the different sustainable fabrics on the market. And this one is obviously incredibly weird and interesting. I love how sci-fi Blade Runner it feels. I mean, it's a one-off dress, so one dress is not going to change the game, but hopefully one dress creates a conversation and can lead to lots of other products being made of this material or similar materials.
So how long have you been into ethical fashion for?
I was thinking a lot about kind of sustainability and issues at the same time that I was working quite heavily in fashion. I did have that conflict of I'm trying to persuade people to buy stuff all day long and then really acutely aware of the problems. And so my resolution to that was to start working with companies that I thought were having a positive impact and trying to help tell their stories.
So what other materials should we be excited about?
So the one I'm most excited about right now is wild rubber, which means that the rubber is tapped in trees spread throughout the Amazon, and by using and buying wild rubber products, you're essentially paying local people to make a living and therefore protect the rainforest.
I'm guessing this is a pretty sexy dress if it's made of rubber by Vivienne Westwood.
I can show you if you want, I have it here.
I would die. I'd love to see it. Can we have a look?
Don't die, sure.
amazing. I love it. I want it.
So I was really into wild rubber and continue to try and push it forward as a material. You could make colourful jewellery, colourful shoes. You can also make condoms, you can make gloves.
You can buy ethical...
You can buy wild rubber condoms,
wild rubber
but you
condoms.
can't buy them yet. You can only get them in Brazil through the government.
Okay.
So we're trying to set up supply chains so you can buy them in the UK and the US.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Where did you wear this?
I wore this dress to the Met Ball several years ago. Wild rubber is a great example of one of the solutions. You know, can we help solve deforestation through fashion? You know, what an interesting idea that would be.
But what if we want a Hollywood A-lister? One simple thing we can do is to ask questions.
So I've been thinking, we're also obsessed now with where our food comes from, where our coffee comes from. Is it fair trade? Is it organic? Is it free range? But we don't really stop to think about where the clothes that we wear come from. Why not?
I found out that most of our garments are made from cotton, but cotton can be tricky to trace. A lot of it comes from Uzbekistan, where child labour is widespread. In other developing countries, the working conditions in sweatshops can be deadly. In 2013, a garment factory in Bangladesh collapsed, killing over 1,000 people. Moved by this disaster, designer Carrie Summers has started her own revolution by asking the question, who made my clothes? So Carrie, what is this fashion revolution?
Well, the fashion revolution was founded after the Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh. And the Rana Plaza disaster acted as a catalyst for everybody who wanted to see change. So much is hidden within the fashion industry. So we started with the question, who made my clothes? You know, that simple or supposedly simple question, who made my clothes, is so incredibly important because we want to see the faces, we want to know where the factories are, because we can't start to tackle any of those other social or environmental problems unless we take that first stage. And it was recently reported that Islamic State has taken over 3/4 of the cotton fields in Syria. So how are we as the public supposed to know that we're not supporting terrorism or slave labour with the next cotton garment which we buy?
So are you telling me that clothes that we've bought, that I may have bought, could have been funding ISIS and we don't even know about it? I wouldn't know.
No, we wouldn't know because the labels on our clothes don't tell us the country of origin of the cotton. Cotton which comes from Uzbekistan, which is harvested every year using forced labour, is routinely labelled as made in Bangladesh.
So what you're calling for is a cultural shift where we, the consumers, expect to know where our clothes are made.
Yes, this year at the beginning of Fashion Revolution Week we published the Fashion Transparency Index, which covered 40 of the major fashion companies, and that more than half of them had little or nothing in place to trace where their raw materials came from.
Who do I ask? Where do I ask?
You ask the brand, you can post a photograph on social media showing the label of your garment. We do have incredible power as consumers if we choose to use it.
Industry experts have told me that there could have been up to 1,000 pairs of hands on any given item in my wardrobe. Who are these people? And what sort of lives have they led? And how have my fashion choices impacted on them?
As well as asking who made my clothes on social media, one way of ensuring you know where your cotton comes from is to use smaller, independent designers. I met up with South African designer Sindiso Khumalo, whose fashion label focuses on using sustainable, contemporary textiles.
Hi.
I love fashion, I love looking good, and I also really want to make the world a better place. You're obviously really hands-on when it comes to the production process, but what I've been learning is that even the materials that you use can be problematic.
Absolutely, until I found out about Uzbekistan 6 months ago, and that's when I was just like, what?
I don't think many people actually know about this, because what happens is all the cotton gets sort of put into one big pile. So it's like, you know, some of it's really ethical cotton, some of it's not, and it all gets sort of mixed up, and then people just buy it off. Definitely, at some point, I must have been, you know, party to this too, definitely. There's no way. And that's why it's so important to know where your raw materials come from.
How important do you think it is to shop ethically these days?
Who would want to wear garments where they'd know that somebody was oppressed producing those clothes, knowing that a child made those clothes, whether they picked the cotton or were behind a sewing machine? It's almost like just having blood on your hands to a certain extent. I think this is the reality. There's a really dark side to consuming fashion, and because fashion is so important in our livelihoods, we need to really open our eyes. In the same way that we have with food, we need to do that with clothing.
This isn't about being smug or patronising. This is about, has my dress been made by a child slave? And if the answer is yes, then I'm not comfortable with that.
So how can we, as consumers, become aware of the history of the clothes we buy? Can we ever be sure that our clothes were made in fair conditions? Designer Hannah Cowie has based her company, Tame Yummy, on 100% traceability.
Hello.
Hi, Paris. Welcome to the studio.
You.
Hi.
So tell me about these beautiful clothes. Where do they come from?
These jackets come from the north of Vietnam. They're all handmade, so we can trace the whole process from them being grown as plants all the way to them being hand embroidered with silk embroidery thread. They grow the cotton, they grow the indigo. You can see the plants all around the houses. So every element of the jacket is all 100% traceable.
You're helping to fund women in these communities and give them work opportunities, right?
Yeah. It's about bringing the best bits of their traditional culture into one garment that then provides flexible employment for the women.
And how did you strike up a connection with this village?
I travelled in Vietnam in 2008 and met Tame. I just met this woman in the market, and she said to me, "Do you want to learn our embroidery?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to learn." And so I sat down with her and started to learn how to make it. And we ended up sitting together for 3 months. And I stay in her house and sit around the fire. And when the kids have gone to bed, it's really nice. We start to talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about women's stuff, about men, sex. She taught me about giving birth. She's spot on. She's amazing. So there's a lot of heart in this project. Every time I talk about it, I get emotional.
I just can't believe the connection that you've got with these garments.
Do you want to try one on, Paris?
I'd love to. Bit of a change of style.
Yeah. Oh, it looks great from the back. You'll have to turn around and see the back. Yeah. Oh, it's nice. It's really nice. And if you do it up at the front.
I love this idea that our clothes can have a story, that we can have a real connection with what we wear. It's about changing our relationship with our clothes, slowing things down, making the experience meaningful rather than instant.
You have to empower people to be the agents of change. Once you've done it, it's people who find their own solutions.
And the story of our clothes doesn't have to end with us. There are lots of ways to give them a new lease of life. If we could make sure our clothes are worn for an extra 3 months, for example, it would reduce our carbon and water footprint by up to 10%. I found out that one way to make your clothes live longer is to get them fixed or remade.
I found a company that promises to give these clothes a new lease of life, so I've come to Bristol to find out what they can do with this old thing. Hello.
Paris, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to our studio. It's so
lovely.
nice of you to come.
I kind of bought this when I was a bit sluttier.
You don't wear it because it's so sheer.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can make you one of our dresses up, and we can rework the lace into this front panel here. And then I was thinking layer it, maybe something a bit shiny coming through. And if you were feeling it, we could go, this is one of my favourite materials in the studio.
Gorgeous.
So maybe do the skirt in this. I mean, it's going to be pretty sparkle-tastic.
I like to accentuate my derriere.
So we're going to start first of all with the top that you brought in. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the top down the sides. Do you want to cut down that side?
I'd love to, yeah.
Okay.
So how did Antiform start?
So I realised that, you know, there's a lot of clothes that do end up either stuck at the back of people's wardrobes. You're going to go along there. There's actually real value in these materials. We've worked with things like tablecloths, curtains, blankets from hospitals. That's done so nicely. So that's our first piece now. So you can start to imagine how your dress is going to come together.
Oh, beautiful.
So this is Kate, who's putting your dress together.
Hello.
So Kate's just pinning and stretching it out. Do you want to have a go on the machine?
Yeah, it's not going to chop my hand off, is it?
You'll need to be really careful. Right, so that one there, this one here, lifts the foot up and down. So practice on that. You'll see it go up and down. So that's how you get your fabric in. And then if you press the other one. Ah! Perfect, look at that. First bit of overlocking.
Oh my God.
I decided to leave the rest of the professionals who can do this whole process in just 2 hours.
Looks great! I love it. Are you pleased?
I love it. It's made its way back to the front of my wardrobe.
Oh, I really like it.
Thanks, Lizzie.
I love that this dress is unique and I haven't had to damage the planet to make it. But I'm realising that I can't make big changes alone. I need to ramp up my campaign and get more people involved in this movement.
I'm off to meet vlogger Hannah Witten to find out more about her relationship with fashion.
Hey guys, so I'm finally getting around to filming this video that I have been promising and teasing for ages, and it's...
With over 200,000 subscribers to her channel, she's the ideal person to help me get the Pure Couture message out there.
Oh, cute room.
Thanks.
Can I sit down on here?
Yeah.
So do you think with social media that there's more pressure for us to buy?
When you spend a lot of your time online and a lot of your friends are online and doing like video hauls of like things that they've bought or like lookbooks and then like outfit posts, it's so easy to get like swept up in that and be like, I need everything.
You must have heard of sweatshops before. Is it something you'd really thought about, or?
I think it's one of those things I have like cognitive dissonance about, which is like, I know that it's really bad, and yes, probably most of the clothes that I own and buy are like manufactured in these kinds of places, but then I've never like changed my behaviour because of that.
Do you know where your jacket was made?
Nope.
Do you know where the cotton was picked?
Nope.
It's really complex, and that's why I just don't think that most people think about it or where the stuff's come from. I mean, it has genuinely really opened my eyes to it, but it's not all doom and gloom, because I've actually bought you some clothes, because it's all we're all talking about this stuff, but you want to look nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's that just presumption that if you're wearing like ethical, sustainable clothing, then it's going to be like a bag and like dull and beige.
I think that's probably been one of the biggest surprises, actually, is that a lot of these clothes are like really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a bag of clothes with me, so.
Okay.
Do you want to have a look?
Yeah. Ta-da!
Oh wow, you look amazing.
I love it so much.
It's such a cute little summer outfit.
Yeah. This is definitely something that I would wear as well, like
and feel good in.
Yeah, and I'm really into these wooden sunglasses. I had no idea they were a thing.
They're actually made of sustainable wood.
Oh, cool.
So head to toe.
Yeah.
It's cute, right?
Yeah.
So have I convinced you that this is the thing that we need to be taking seriously?
Yeah, for sure.
Will you help me get the Pure Couture message out there with your fans?
Absolutely, I'm in.
I'm so pleased you're on board, Hannah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do
it.
Hannah stuck to her word, and it was amazing to see how many of her fans engaged with the message, asking her to post more about sustainable fashion.
I love my clothes, especially dresses. Look, I have loads. Fashion isn't really something that I've thought about all that much until recently. Pure Couture looks at the impact of this culture of buying heaps of cheap clothing and the amazing people who are working towards a fairer fashion industry.
Meeting Hannah, I've realised just how much I've learned about this issue, but also how much I care. Seeing her looking so excited in her outfit, it's made me think that I need to get this message out to even more people.
It's so simple to make a difference by taking a look at your fashion habits and following 3 easy steps, which we've called the Pure Couture Promise. Step 1, if you don't love it, don't buy it. Sustainable fashion advocate Livia Firth launched the 30 Wears hashtag. So if you can't commit to wearing an item at least 30 times, save your money. Step 2, look at the label. Is it a blend of materials that will make it harder to recycle? While cotton requires huge quantities of water to make, polyester consumes large supplies of non-renewable resources. Try to find organic cotton, recycled polyester, or new textile innovations like the wild rubber we found out about earlier. Step 3, DIY. Before donating clothes to charity, think, could you fix it or turn it into something new? This really is the tip of the iceberg. There are so many more topics that I want to explore. In the next episode, I'm learning more about what the fashion industry is doing to help women around the world.
I really do believe if you can empower women, you can really begin to change the world.
I'll also be doing some digging into the environmental impact of cheap metals and meet jewellery designer Rosalie McMillan to hear about what she's doing to recycle materials.
This sort of dark brown material here is made from recycled coffee grounds.
So it's witchcraft, basically.
It's alchemy, yes.
And I'll bring in another online influencer to help me push my campaign even further.